All right, we're live from 304 Studios, and we're in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Cold as a well digger's tail. Damn, it's cold here. And this is an STSPOD.CLUB production. This is Hit Me With Your First Shot. And guess what? Welcome to episode 6, episode 1020 of STSPOD.CLUB. I'm the longtime producer of the record store. Each episode of this podcast will feature a guest that will bring you their first album that they ever bought. We will review it, talk about it, and have some fun. Today's guest, and I'm going to call him Mr. January because he's been on 3 shows this month. Mr. January, Mr. Z, and trust me, he brought a good one today. What did you bring with you, Mr. Z?
I brought the album Thriller by Michael Jackson.
Woo! Now, I have been listening to this. The way this works is I always put, as soon as you tell me what we're going to be talking about, I put it on the rotation in my playlist on YouTube, and I will sit and listen to it in between working on podcasts and stuff like that. But listen to it for the whole week. Got to say, I had to jump up with the first song and start dancing and acting silly. The wife was like, "What are you listening to?" But Thriller, let me just say something. I'm wearing my Nirvana shirt, and I wore my Nirvana shirt for a reason, because I consider Thriller one of those albums, especially during my childhood, but one of those albums that totally changed the music business. I almost said wrestling business, but totally changed the music business. Thriller's one of them. Nirvana's one of them. And I don't know, maybe, a Taylor Swift album's one of them in this time period. I don't listen to Taylor Swift, but I see the influence she's had. But Thriller totally changed what was going on in music business, and they had so many songs that hit the charts off of one album. To me, it was one of the first albums that everyone was listening to everything on it. Yeah. What do you think? I mean, it's every song that someone wanted to say, I like that song. No, I like this one. I like that one. And it's 7 singles off of it. I had to figure it. Let me tell you something. It sold buttload of albums. Estimated worldwide sales so far. There's been 66 to 70 million copies worldwide sold of this album. And it's been certified everything it can be certified as. It was the 6th album. Some people don't think that might have been his first album, but that was his 6th album.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson did some of the songwriting. We'll talk more about that, but it was produced by Quincy Jones, who had worked on Off the Wall in 79 for him. This came out in November of 1982, November 29th, 1982. So one of my first questions I like to ask everybody is, why this album, Mr. Z? What made you choose this one?
So in 82, I was born in 84. So mind you, my parents were already listening to it.
Right.
My family, my mom and my dad, my grandfolks, like that, the genre of music that they listened to was everything from your hardcore country artists to your hardcore hair bands. They listened to everything. And me as a kid, my first trip to Disneyland, we seen Captain EO, which was a 3D feature done by Michael Jackson.
Oh, wow.
So right out of the chute, I'm a Michael Jackson fan growing up.
Right.
It wasn't until 1990 is when I got my very first cassette tape of Thriller. That was my very first tape. My dad got it for me off of Columbia House when they were doing the 10 tapes for a penny. And that's how I got it.
I've said this in the first 5 episodes of this show, that I am going to do a special episode about Columbia House. And I'm going to have as many people as I can get to come on. I've done a little research. There's some YouTube stuff out there, and I've done a little research on the company, not really knowing. But Mr. Z, I had I had 10 tapes. A Brian Trammell, a William Trammell, a Will Trammell, a WB Trammell. What else? B Trammell, Brian Trammell, BT Trammell. I did them all. But the thing about it is, a lot of people would not buy the albums that they were supposed to buy.
Right.
I would go ahead and do it and then subscribe again. So I had like 5 different names. But I was, you could get, there's all kinds of stuff about Columbia House. It's so interesting, but you could get so much stuff. And like you said, my family, and I've talked about this before, I kind of believe my parents might have been hippies. I don't know. I kind of think maybe they were. My dad was a country music guy. I listened to Hank Williams Sr., Waylon Jennings. The Outlaw album was one of those albums I go back to and listen to even today because of him. My mom was typical 60s, 70s, listen to music kind of thing. And even back then we had my dad hid his weed in the freezer. So yeah, there was a little bit of everything going on music-wise. And then when I started, and I've never told anybody the first album because I'm waiting to it's someone else's, but I started with hair metal is kind of what I started with, even though it was, in the 70s. But 80, I'm trying to see what I was doing. So you was young, 82, I was in, so 85, 84. I was a freshman in high school. So, and I had bought Off the Wall. So I was a Michael Jackson fan. I liked his music, and I had bought Off the Wall. So, do you remember they got it from Columbia House? So that's always. Do you remember anything else that was happening in your life during that time?
We were gearing up to move to Stockton at the time. I was living in Hayward in the Bay Area where I was born. And we were just starting to gear up to move out to the valley to be closer to my grandfolks, my grandmother, and any other family member that we had out here. So right about that time, my life was shifting into a new environment.
Wow, I bet. Yeah, all that. It's fun. It's cool about the internet, and wrestling's always been. I know this is not a wrestling podcast, but wrestling's always been that connection for me with friends. Got a lifelong friend from Michigan, and it's fun. And just in the last year, me and you have become friends doing podcasts together, and you're all the way on the other side of the country. And it's so fun to do stuff like that. What do you, and there's been so much controversy about Michael Jackson. So this question's a little, do you still think it's cool, this album is?
Yes.
I do too. I have a hard time separating. No, I say that. I said that wrong. I have an easy time separating the stories and the stuff that went on in between him and his music. I really do, because I was such a huge fan.
Yes.
And to be such a huge fan of his music. And I know, I may be criticized for this and I shouldn't say this, but it did not affect what I wanted to listen to,
No.
It's all about the music for me when it comes to stuff like that. And I never made, I could separate them and still enjoy Michael Jackson for what he was.
Of course. And then with me, it was like, you got to think now, it's like everybody uses Thriller. You go anywhere during Halloween, Thriller is like one of the top songs that haunted houses use, that you hear in people's cars during Halloween. You go to, even if you go to a sporting event, there is at least 1 or 2 Michael Jackson songs that are still played everywhere.
Oh yeah,
so it's like
very much so, very much.
Big shout out to
big shout out to Stacy. Stacy's watching live, and she said, "Hello, fellas." So, hello, Stacy. How's it going?
Hello.
All right, let's go. We're gonna start with side A. Here's something interesting about this album too that I thought, and I've noticed a lot of the albums during this time was in, and I may have a reason why, but I'm just making it up. It was 46 minutes long. That seems like it's less than an hour. I mean, it's a masterpiece. I'm sorry, it's a
Yeah.
masterpiece. And to think that it's I think maybe it was because of they wanted to put it on a cassette that wasn't. I just don't know. But 46 minutes, and like I said, I've sat and listened to it over and over. It starts out with the first song on the album, on side A or side one, ever what you want to call it. Want to be starting something. This is one of my favorite songs on this album, and it makes you want to just get up and dance.
Yeah, it's the perfect song to kick off the album. I thought it was. I mean, just the beat alone, when it starts, you're like, oh, all right, we're gonna start heavy. Let's go.
Right. It says he talks about gossip, pressure, and then he does. They call it African rhythms with mama said that.
Yep.
I love that. I always have.
Yeah.
And I'm the worst dancer in the world, but you guess what? I got up and danced on that one on track one and had a fun time with it. I was like, oh yeah, I remember this.
Yeah.
Track 2, Baby Be Mine. It's smoother. I mean, the Quincy Jones influence with this album is there, but it's really there with this song. A guy named Rod Tipperton is the songwriter. And I love it when he says, "Come on, girl." That's like my favorite thing in the whole album, Baby Be Mine. One of my favorite things of the whole album right there.
I like, and it went from real high tip to just right into just smoothing you out a little bit. And I was like, when I first heard it, I was, and I'm a boy, so I'm just like, really? But when you hear it now, and I'm just like, yeah, you go the appreciation for it.
Yeah. There's a difference. We'll talk about. I think that's one of my questions I like to ask people, whether it stood up or not. It still means something. It's still got a sound to it. This is one of those things where, as a kid, you listen to something, and then when you go back, the Grease soundtrack is X-rated. And I didn't even know it as a kid, I listened, what the hell?
Yeah.
But good. And here's the funny thing about this song. It never was released as a single, but it became a huge fan favorite. Like as years went by, people talked about how much they really liked that song. So the third track was "The Girl Is Mine" with Sir Paul McCartney.
Yes, sir.
Just a fun duet, just totally fun, and two guys who talk about influencing the music business.
Yes.
Two guys that sat side by side to do this song, and there's all kinds of rumors about this song that they never were in the studio together, that they never were there for the actual video. Even though they're in a video together, they're not there in the same room. Now, I don't know how true. I try to find out. But it's one of those songs where, hey, this girl likes me. What I loved about it most was when I was in high school, there was always some girl that I wanted to think she liked me more than liked my friends. You know what I'm saying? And that's what this song is about. It's and two of the biggest pop stars of all time there on one song. I love this song, by the way. I really do.
I really do. That song right there. I mean, you want to talk about the era of the females later on in history of music doing songs fighting about a boy. The Boy Is Mine, specifically, which was done by Monica and Brandy in like the latter 90s.
Right.
And
I
was like,
a callback. It's a total callback.
And that's all. Yes. And I remember my dad saying, he goes, they just did a throwback for that one. I said, I know. I already knew. I'm a kid. I'm like, okay, I got you. Like, it was good. It was solid. But like Sir Paul McCartney, I mean, the other song he did with Michael Jackson, Say, that is still one of my top 5. Hands down.
Yeah. Big shout out to Brandon. Brandon's watching. Brandon W is watching the show too. Thanks, Brandon. We appreciate you watching it live. And the last song on the first side, which I don't remember it like this. I actually remember it as I don't know. I remembered it as the last song, not the last song on the album, but it's actually the last song on the first side of the album, and it's Thriller. Um, what do you remember about? First, let's just talk about the song. What do you remember about the song? To me, it's not the song; it's the video.
Right. The video is all I remember. All I remember from the video itself, like just the beginning, is just the movie scene. The creepiest thing you've ever seen, and you talk about it now, and that was like the biggest highlight reel for MTV was when Thriller dropped. When they brought that video there, that was it. And I think that was just extremely different to what you've seen in other videos.
Oh, it was a movie. That's what it was. And then you had Vincent Price. And this was in the 80s. Vincent Price was coming out of the 70s doing some of the 70s and late 60s doing some of the best horror movies of all time. This would be like having Freddy Krueger on your pop song. It really would.
Fun fact about Vincent Price, he is the voice behind the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland.
Oh, wow. Awesome. I like the thing about it is Mr. Z with AI, he could be behind Shootin' a Shiznit now if we want.
Oh yeah. I don't know if anyone will watch after that. They're going to have flashbacks and nightmares. Like, nope.
But this was a video that, like you said, could be if you could be scary to some kids, if they were watching it. It was a masterpiece too by itself. And Vincent Price ending it, being the segment that he did, made it even better. So, all right, guys, we're gonna go to a commercial break. We come back, we're gonna go halftime. Halftime's a little bit different on Hit Me With Your First Shot. It is fun facts, and we're gonna have 10 fun facts about Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Don't miss Memphis Wrestling Live, Sunday, February 15th. Who will win King Cobra's Cup? Monday, February 16th, WWE Raw returns to FedEx Forum in Memphis. Pre-game with us at Ghost River on Beale Street. No cover and family friendly. And be on the lookout for Sunday, March 1st, live at the Wrestle Center. All tickets are on sale now. Get yours right now at memphiswrestling.tv.
Get ready, wrestling fans. MCW is bringing you the action like never before. Experience the high-flying moves, the bone-crushing slams, and the rivals that can only be settled inside the square ring. This is family-friendly live professional wrestling at its very best. Don't just hear about it. Be there when the superstars of MCW collide in unforgettable matches you'll talk about for weeks. Tickets are affordable. The action's nonstop, and the excitement is guaranteed. MCW Wrestling, where the future of wrestling happens now. Be there. All right, real quick, that was Osceola, Arkansas, MCW. If you're watching it here in Central Time at 4:06, you still have plenty of time to get everything ready, get the family ready, and go out tonight. It's going to be a fun show, always a fun show. My friends there, the East Coast Bad Boys, have been doing that show for a long time. Friends of mine and just great guys, I love to see them prosper. I really do.
Any of those tag teams interested to coming out to the West Coast? We got some tag teams for you. Y'all need to reach out to the promotions out here.
Right on. And hey, we forgot to do this at the very front. So go. By the way, we did get another comment from Stacy. She said that Thriller scared her to death as a kid. Go ahead and put your shiznit over there, Mr. Z. We forgot to. I got you there, so you can use this on your page if you want to. But go ahead and talk about the Rebound Podcast and Mark Out or Get Out.
Mark Out or Get Out podcast, namesake from the Mrs. Z herself. We just finished the show yesterday doing Unfiltered, where she gives her casual fan opinion. And folks, you want to check that out. If there's anything you want, you don't want to just hear it from me. You got to believe the casual fan. But yes, I run that show at least once a month, and then weekly you get the Rebound podcast, which is everything Japanese wrestling related.
Right on, right on. I'm going to join you in February for the next big New Japan show. We're going to simulcast that. I want to talk about the great card coming up. All right. As always, we do halftime. All right. Halftime. Fun facts about Michael Jackson's Thriller. It almost didn't happen. I love this as a first fun fact. After Off the Wall only won 1 Grammy, they didn't know whether Michael could make an album that sold tons of records. So they didn't know whether they was going to even give it to him. He said that in an interview that it become an obsession for him to make one of the best albums ever. The original title wasn't Thriller. It was called Starlight. And it was written under the and the title track was originally written under that name before Quincy Jones pushed for Thriller. MTV was hesitant, believe this, to play the videos. Billie Jean initially faced resistance, but once it aired, it helped break racial barriers and reshaped MTV's programming. It was a different world, my friend, in the early 80s. But that is just crazy to think. To think if they would have said, okay, we're not going to play Michael Jackson videos. I mean, my MTV would have been totally different. Eddie Van Halen recorded the solo on Beat It. He played it for free. He refused payment, never got any residuals or anything from it. Eddie talked about it in an interview saying, I did it for a friend. So there you go.
But speaking of Beat It, and we already know that's one of the top songs out there too.
Yeah, well, we talk about
that guitar riff.
Yeah. The album has 7 top 10 singles. No other albums ever achieved that. Thriller video cost $500,000 to make. And they funded it partially by selling making of. Did you ever have the making of VHS? I do remember that.
I probably did, and I just it's been so long.
yeah, I remember that. Vincent Price wrote his own stuff. The horror legend improvised and polished his spoken word verse, giving it an unmistakable flair. Michael co-wrote only 4 songs, but controlled everything. Even on tracks he didn't write, he was obsessively shaping the vocal, the rhythm, the arrangement. Nominated for 8 Grammys in one night in 1984, and it still sells. I try to get numbers for 2025, but they did not have the numbers. Thriller continues to sell hundreds of thousands of copies every year as one of the best-selling albums in history. And speaking of, we just talked about it. Wait, we got to play our halftime. We're done with halftime. All right, on the second.
One more thing before we. Since we're not going to be seeing air guitars in Japan anymore, you'll see it here every time.
There you go. The first song on the second side of the album is Beat It. We talked about Eddie Van Halen's iconic. So I love the way I wrote that. I said iconic because it was that Eddie Van Halen. If you did not listen to Van Halen and you listened to this album and you said, man, what is that? Then you would start searching out Van Halen stuff. Just a great song, but I've gotta say something. Weird Al Yankovic killed this song for me. All I can think of is Eat It. That's all I can think of every time I hear this song is Eat It. And just so you know, I was a kid. It was in 1982. Beat It meant something totally different when I was a freshman. When I was a freshman in high school, let me just tell you, we always had fun with that song.
Oh yeah. Well, even now, like even when I was in high school, that was still a joke. So I get it.
As we talked about, the video was controversial. Billie Jean Kid Is Not My Son was what in my mind kept playing with this song.
Yep.
It's about, when you sleep with somebody and they start saying the kid is yours, and you find out, and they had a whole show. What was it, Maury Povich?
Yes.
They had a whole show based on this song. But it was one of my favorite songs on the album too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and you got to think too. Speaking of Maury, I just watched a documentary on Talk TV in the '90s
Right,
with the
I've seen that.
missus.
Yeah.
And I was like, how did I forget? I was like, and I totally remember staying home from school. If you were sick, if you stayed home from school, you was able to watch half these shows that would come on.
It was really funny because it was almost like your mom, if your mom was there and you had two TVs, she put you in front of that other TV and left you alone. And boy, you started changing them channels. You got to watch that. You got to watch everything like that. I like this. Human Nature is one of those songs where there's two songs on this album that I'm just like, not my favorite song. It has a groove to it. It feels, I
It
don't know,
does.
almost dreamy kind of.
Yeah.
It's real quiet. Human Nature. Not one of my favorite songs, but it belongs. It feels like we just Quincy Jones. I might call Quincy Adams earlier, but Quincy Jones sounds like something Quincy Jones would work on.
Oh yeah. Definitely good. It's another like you said, another soft spoken song. But with this album, it fit just perfectly.
Right. And one of my favorite songs on the album, and it has to do with also one of my favorite underrated tag teams, PYT, Pretty Young Things. One of the lines is, I always wanted a girl like you. I just love this song. It's just one of those things where it's just, you're just wanting to jump up and dance with it. It burst of energy. After listening to Human Nature, all of a sudden you got Pretty Young Thing. You like this too?
Oh yeah. No, this is fun fact, folks. I have probably almost every Michael Jackson song on my phone. So this song is in rotation. When I used to watch shows, when MTV used to have really good like dance competition shows, they used PYT and remixed it to one of the dance groups, and it was done beautifully. This song works for everything.
Awesome. And the last song on the album, slow ballad, the lady in my life.
Yep.
It was real. I don't know. Michael, there was always rumors about Michael, whether he was gay or whatever. With this song, if you just listen to this song, you think this man loves him some woman. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
He loves him some woman. It was almost like he was whispering. And it was just it was the song to finish the album with. You went from Human Nature to Crazy. That song, Pretty Young Thing, has those robotic vocal things in it, and then you go to Lady in My Life, you finish up the album. Really like this song.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get some quick questions out. What was the first track on this album that you played over and over and over and over?
Thriller.
I gotta say it was probably let me think about that. Thriller. Probably Thriller or The Girl Is Mine. It was before Eat It, but before I even heard Eat It, but I really like Beat It. What was when did you buy this album? Where did you get a cassette? Did you tell me that? Did you get a cassette or an album or an 8-track, or what'd you get?
I got a cassette, and it was done from Columbia House. That's how I got
mine. Do you think the album still holds up?
Oh yes, it still does.
Like
I said, like I said before, you got places during Halloween, like Thriller is still the #1 song used everywhere during Halloween time, and I love the fact that it's still being used out there.
Do you think this album being your first that you remember listening to more than once kind of thing, do you think it shaped all your future tastes? Is it part of the, like you just said, you still have you got them on your phone, you got the Michael Jackson songs on your phone. Shout out to Derek King, wrestler in Memphis, who's a big Michael Jackson fan. If you watch this week's Memphis Wrestling, look at his t-shirt.
Oh,
yes,
there we go.
Looks like he planned it out.
Yeah.
What do you consider the best track on the album?
The best track for me on this album, it's very hard to choose, but "Beat It" would have to be the track from this album.
I'm gonna go with Thriller or Pretty Young Things, and I don't know if I would have said that in 1982, but that's my favorite right now. Anything you would skip? No. I'm gonna skip Human Nature. I'm gonna skip
that.
Human
You know what? You're probably right. That would probably be the one I skip, only because I'm just not in the mood for it.
Right. Let me see. Vinyl album you bought. Can you remember what you might have bought after this album?
After this album would have had to been, I think it was one of my first Def Leppard tapes that my dad got for me. So I was starting
Def Leppard
transition.
after Michael Jackson. All right. This question may be bad. If the album had a smell, what would it be?
Jerry Curl Juice, a perm shot.
I said pumpkins. That's what I wrote because of the Thriller and Halloween. That's all I could think of.
I'm just thinking of the era of the hair that they've had. That everyone had.
I believe you. If you could recommend this album to you, would you still recommend this album to somebody?
Yes, I still do. I think my kids listen to it now. So, I mean, I'm working on it, and hopefully it keeps going.
There you go. I think it's one of those things where I talked to someone today and said, "Did you like Thriller?" And they said, "That's a little too early for me, but it could understand why it was, because it's such a big album." I was so excited when you told me we're going to do this one because it like I said at the very front of the episode, it changed the music business. It's fun to listen to stuff like that again. It's not on my rotation, so all of a sudden we plugged everything. Just remember, once a month, the last week of the month, usually on Mondays, but me and Mr. Z for some reason have took over all Fridays on my stream, and we'll do another album with another guest. I do not have anyone lined up yet, but it don't take but about 5 minutes, and people say, "Yeah, put me on that show. Put me on that show."
There we go.
All right, coming up, we're going to go off the live feed. I just want to tell you we have what we call it's the Patreon portion of it, and it's called B-Side Confessions. Well, the Duchess is going to tell us about it, and then we'll come back, and then we'll leave. You'll have to subscribe to Patreon.
Coming up next is the Patreon portion of Hit Me With Your First Shot, B-Side Confessions, the After Dark bonus cut out of the episode. This is where the conversation goes a little deeper, a little wilder, and sometimes a little inappropriate. You've heard the main story. Now it's time for the confessions that didn't make the A-side. So pour a drink, turn the lights down, and get ready, because this track is strictly for the grown-ups.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Duchess. Same bat time, same bat channel on the best little music podcast in the business. Be there. And as everyone knows, and Mr. Z knows this, I love my mama.